All right. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to create a short space tonight just to address an issue um, that I think was inspired by our brother Tariq the other night. The question is, should FBA speak multiple languages, or does fleeing indicate multilingualism? So the basic premise of this space is to identify that. Um, Running from territory to territory kind of you have to adapt that skill of speaking multiple languages, whereas staying in one place, you don't necessarily have to do so. Now, is it a bad thing to speak other languages? No. I speak pretty good Spanish, but I had just had some good teachers, that's all, and a good friend in high school. So let's step right into it. Wani, does should FBA speak multiple languages?
Um, Only if they feel like it. So
Yep.
if you are in a place like California, like I am, and it would help you to speak Spanish, sure, speak it. If you live overseas and you're going to stay there permanently, sure, speak the language so you'll know what's going on. However, I just want to bring up a story. Long time ago, one of my father's friends moved over to Holland. And my father was talking to him on the phone and he said, "How come you don't speak the language?" And he said, "Oh, no, no, no. Never. I never want to be confused for one of these island boys." Now, when he said that a long time ago, I wasn't like, I just didn't, it didn't click that he was speaking about Caribbeans right away. The ones that immigrate over there. So he was speaking about them knowing how to speak. So that's how everyone can tell we're Americans. We speak perfect English, number one, and we have an accent, whether we know it or not. And we don't know we have an accent, but we do. Um, and the other people speak perfect whatever, French or Spanish, because they're desperately trying to fit in. And they have a lot of languages that they learn because a lot of these people go asylum shopping. And if you're going to go begging for something, you need to speak a lot of languages so you can beg directly. Now, when you travel, I have never run into an issue where someone needed me to speak their language. They, understand that I'm an American and they want to practice their English on me. So even if I'm trying to practice French on them, they want to practice English on me so they don't let me talk. I can't order a meal without them trying to practice on me. Anyway,
Yeah.
your language is king. All of these other people have to speak in your. Do never, never, never feel bad about speaking English. Because I came through the Pan African thing too. Oh, we should speak Swahili. Why? It has nothing to do with West Africa. Like, why are we doing that? Anyway, it was just a bunch of stupid Pan African garbage. We don't need to speak any other languages, like I said, unless you want to. Our language is king. Remember this. Remember this. If a European comes over to this country from Poland, they have to get on their knees and speak English. Okay? They don't speak English. We've been speaking English longer than most Europeans that come over here. Italians speak Italian. They come over here, they came over here ignorant. They couldn't speak Italian, let alone English and Italian. We speak English fluently and know every nuance, and we have influenced this language. This is a very young language, and we got in on Middle English. Okay, this is a young language, and we have directed it for our own uses. We are bona fide users of English. Point blank. English is not part of being white. Okay, it is a language spoken here, and we've mastered it, and we've been here the whole time. We have more right to use it than anyone here. more right than a Polish person, more right than an Italian person, more right than a Spanish person, more right than anyone. We have developed it. We make it move. We have our own linguistics up under it. We have different dialects. We created our own vernacular. We speak Gullah Geechee. We speak Creole, Seminole, Tutnese. Well, we're learning that one, but that was a secret language that we no longer needed because we don't need a secret language. Know why? Because we can talk directly to the white man to his face. We don't need to hide in the shadows. So we don't need to speak. I heard a South African person say, well, how do you speak around white people? We don't sneak and hide from white people. We say whatever to their face. They think it's a disability to not be able to speak in another language, and I don't. I don't have anything to say behind white people's back that I won't say to their face. I'm not finished, but I'm
Well,
going to take a break in between the rant.
well, that's really interesting. Well, first off, I spent some time at I didn't finish at Harvard, but I went to Harvard and I was in the multi cultural dorm at the time, Elliott Hall, and I said that year, shoot, going on 20, was it 20 years ago? I was like, I told my dorm mates were like all from Europe and a couple from England, and I was like, they were like, you have an American accent. And I was like, an American accent? What does that sound like? And I just want to tell y'all something interesting from an English person's perspective. I was told that an American accent, from their perspective, almost sounds like an Australian accent.
What?
Yeah, they said
I'm
like me.
embarrassed.
Yeah, they said a Southerner, and they said the real American accent is a Southern accent, and they said it sounds like Australian,
It,
like hi, hi,
yes,
how you doing?
I can
It's,
get that
it's
a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of drop the mic on y'all before I go to the Sheikh Anta Diop has a book that I hid from myself. I've been looking for it while Wani was talking. In the book, he kind of outlines that Wani said something important. She said that English is ours. You're damn right it is. And Sheikh Anta Diop identified that English shares a whole bunch of similarities with ancient Egyptian language. So was English stolen from us? That's something to think about.
It's a
The talk to.
it's a patchwork of different languages. It's not a it. Okay, I just studied this really hard. So
Okay,
some of the languages are isolates, like the Basque language. They don't have a lot of influences and nobody knows where it comes from. Believe it or not, Japanese and Korean are isolated languages. They don't come from Chinese like I would think, but
I believe that.
they have pretty much developed without they don't share anything in common except like a few things just for living nearby, but they're considered linguistic isolates. And so English is not. English is the opposite of a linguistic opposite. It is influenced by everything around it and all the other groups that speak other languages. And so let's go to these. So that language is really a hodgepodge. Everybody jump in and do what you need to do with it.
It's gumbo. Go ahead, the.
It's the cheese. The cheese.
Oh, okay. What up?
What's going
The
on?
cheese. I got you.
All right. So the question is, should FBA speak multiple languages? I say to that question, it depends on where you're trying to go. Because if you are if you want to stay in America, I think it's beneficial to you to for you to know how to speak English, like we all do. However, if you travel, if you go to different countries or whatever like that, it's always good to know their languages because the reality is that it broadens your horizons. It makes you a lot it makes you a better communicator if you are able to understand um what the specific country that you go to, their languages or what have you, whether it be a Spanish country. I think I was talking about like Japanese and so on and so forth. But I think even more important than that I think somebody brought up the concept of Tutnese. Like I'm learning how to write Tut now. To speak it is a whole other thing, but I'm learning how to write Tut as much as possible now. But I communicate with my cousin as far as on a tutting on a speaking tut as far as like writing out stuff or whatever like that. I'm starting to get that down pat, but it's very important in from my perspective to learn how to speak languages because it's you know what you know and you'll know what they know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll know what you know if that make any sense. So you speak English and you speak whatever language that is, and they only speak their language. So you speak their language and your own language. So and for the ladies, I know y'all go into these nail salons and whatever, y'all get your feet done. You know that these ladies be talking cash money shit about y'all feet. And y'all, but you would never know because you don't speak the language. You know what I'm saying? You might not give a shit. I don't know. Either way, but sometimes it's good to know somebody else's language. That's what I think. I land my plane there.
That's true, and I'm gonna say I agree to some extent with what the gentleman said, but I also have to piggyback off what Wani said. In the last several years, I've been traveling all across the world for some weird, unrelated reasons, but and everywhere I go, I have that experience that Wani said. Like I go somewhere where I learn a couple phrases, or I, speak pretty good Spanish or whatever, and I'm ready to start talking to people in their language, and it always happens. It's like they speak English.
That happened to you too. That's funny.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I agree with what he said. I never am against learning something. And some people like learning languages. It's fun to them. I've met people, they just love it. They pick up languages easily, and they don't mind doing it. But I am speaking about, do we need to? No, because you can travel to every country and speak English. And if you're going to move over there, yeah. If you feel like people are talking about your feet in a uh, nail salon, you shouldn't be in there anyway. So I don't have any pity for that. Shouldn't be in
Hello.
there needing to speak English so you can tell if somebody's insulting you. That's the lowest self-esteem I've ever heard of. But I just wanted to point out the whole world speaks to us in English, like I said before. But South American people, Central American, Middle Eastern, African, Caribbean countries speak official European languages. So I don't know what they're
Right.
trying to flex. A Mexican flexing their language. You speak a European language. You're not Spanish.
Right.
People that come over here from Greece, Turkey, any Scandinavian country, Russia, and Israel, Hebrew speakers, they have to speak English. No one speaks this stuff. No one speaks Norwegian. That's why people in Scandinavia speak neighboring countries. They speak English. They speak all kinds of things. Because look at where they live. They live next to people that speak other languages. Why they develop that way, I'll never know. Um,
Well,
Go
well,
ahead.
I'm gonna add they live next to people who flee. Like that's what it is. They live next to people who are running away from ethnic cleansing, running away from this, running away from that. So I love this topic, Wani. This topic was Wani's brainchild. I love it because it kind of shatters the myth that learning all these languages makes you such a smart and well cultured person. When the truth of the matter is, mother is an what what's that saying? Something is a mother. Mother's a necessity of invention.
Mhm.
I'm saying it wrong, but
Necessity is the mother of
is the mother?
invention. So when you
Yeah,
need something, then you will develop it. So,
right.
like I said, I think that learning an instrument is good for your brain. I think that learning a language is good for your brain. But you don't have to learn. You're not in a position of these other people. You can go any
Right.
place in the world and be an expat, not an asylum seeker. You're a different class of individual based on a
Yep.
whole lot of things, not just being an American. I need to go on a side rant about this. Okay? We're not just Americans. The reason that we are perceived differently, the reason that people are going to speak to us in English is because we have a dominant culture, okay? Because we
Facts.
have proved ourselves through military performances, through international entertainment. We have played sports internationally. We have won the Olympics a million times. We have had people from Josephine Baker to Michael Jackson all over the place, and others that you probably don't remember. People that are one hit wonders over there in Germany right now representing. We have a strong presence as Black Americans globally. Other people do not. It's just point blank. And that is
Preach.
why when we go somewhere, it is a different scene and they want to drag us into their hellhole. Oh, no, you get treated just like me. No. If I was in Ukraine, when they were being kicked off of the train, first of all, I wouldn't even be asking to get on a train. I would have been on the first plane smoking out of Ukraine.
Right
But
when the
that's
embassy
just
evacuated, I've been evacuated too.
right. They evacuated all the Americans. So that was over. That before any bomb dropped. But say you were stubborn like that basketball player, he wanted to stay in Russia. His little behind got the hell up out of there fast. I'm staying over here. Oh, bomb dropped. See ya. He got the hell up out of there. And he left. He didn't have to fight to get on a train. He didn't have to be treated like an African. He didn't have to do any of that. Another thing, when they were banging on the doors to get into Poland and nearby countries, those countries said no. They wouldn't say no to us. They would let my black ass up in there with my American passport, and I would be headed the hell up out of Poland back to here. We are not in the same position as those people, and do not let them put us in that position. We don't need anything putting a ball and chain on us. After all of the fighting that we've done, we do not need a ball and chain culture dragging us down.
Yeah, one of the worst things anybody can do, a mother can do to her daughter, anybody can do to you is tell you not to do something based on their experience. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk to him. He no, he treated me like garbage last year. Don't talk to her last year. She was stuck up when she talked to me. That's between you and her. That ain't between me and you. You know what I'm saying? Our life experience is our life experience, and I totally agree with Wani on that. We're gonna go to Midwest, then we're gonna go to Kanye. Go ahead, Midwest.
Yeah, one. I think that was like perfect execution of what you just said. I have to bow down to you for that. Regardless, I just wanted
Can you
to
hear me,
say,
Midwest?
can you hear me?
Oh, he's speaking. Okay, I can't hear you.
Oh my
Yeah, he
goodness.
talking. He might have
Can
to drop and
everybody hear
come
me
back.
right now?
I
Can I
could
be
Professor
heard
hear
can.
right
you
now?
I could hear you Midwest, but the professor
Okay.
can't.
Okay. Well,
Let me
hopefully you
bring
can
him.
hear me.
Can you hear him, Professor?
I can't.
Okay, we'll bring you right back up, Midwest.
All right, no problem.
Why are you always making good points though? It's almost like she knows what
Okay.
she's talking about all the time, right?
Okay, Midwest. Try again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in my car, man. That might be the
I
issue.
hear you.
Okay, cool. I want to say, Wani, that was like perfect. That no, not like it was perfect execution. What you said. I mean, everything. I was like, damn. I was impressed. I didn't even think about what you said with everything with the battles to culture and everything. Us being so dominant. Regardless, I want to say I've been in situations that people will say, "Well, you don't have no culture, and you ought to speak multiple languages." And I'll tell them, I said, "Dude, like you just said, Wani, like we don't have to every 10 miles we go in each direction, we don't have to speak another language." Like me being in Chicago, if I go to, I don't have to go to Wisconsin speak another language. I don't have to go to Indiana speak another language. Like they think they're so smart, and I'm like, no, you do it out of necessity, not because you want to. And so I just wanted to stress that out. They think, well, they think just they're smart because they speak all these languages. It's like, no, you're not. You just have to. That's it. We don't have to do that. And like, going back to what you said, you're right. If one of Ukrainians called me, and I trained judo and sambo with some Russians and Ukrainians, if one of them called me a nigga, they know I'll tear that shit up. It's no way. It's no way I'd be like them Africans. I'll become the Wolverine real quick. I just had to say that.
Yeah, no cap. Kanye.
Yeah, what's going on, Wani? Yo, Professor, shout out to you, man. My bad. I was a little late. I had to shut the space down slowly. But yeah, no, 100%. Shout out to Wani. I just want to go on record saying, what's up, Nikki? See Nikki here too. A few other people. Well, I just want to say, just for the audience, it's kind of off topic, but if you ever want,
Kanye, I can't hear you. Can you drop down and come
Oh
right
my
back up?
goodness. What is going
They
on?
messing with my space today.
Oh,
I'm bring you right back up.
mic check one.
I hear you now, bro. I don't know what you did.
No, I just dropped and came back. It's all good.
Okay.
wait.
Everybody might have to just drop and come back real quick to solve that problem before it becomes one. Hey, so real quick, oh, just to me. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
I just got the notification from Wani to come back to speak. Yeah, Twitter fucking with you tonight, gang. So yeah, this is kind of off topic, but it's gonna make a lot of sense. If you ever want to seem like you're really, really smart, like Wani, even though you not may not be as smart as Wani, only speak on things you know. Right? That's the trick.
Right.
That's the trick. If you only speak on things you know, people like, yo, damn, this motherfucker know what he talking about. And a motherfucker like me and Professor, I'm putting both in the category. We like to talk. So we like to study shit. So we know what the fuck we talking about. But but I want to speak to the language thing though, and I think Wani speaks to a whole other point. That blue passport with that American seal on it, oh, that means shit
Uh,
overseas. You said what, bro?
no, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm just thinking out loud. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Continue, brother.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. You might want to just mute up real quick. Appreciate that, gang. When y'all don't be muting like that, they'll fuck up the space too. But yeah, real quick. So yeah, I just wanted to say that passport means a lot, right? And it means a lot because it's prestigious, and you, by nature of having it, makes you a prestigious person. And don't let these people lie to you. Like when they tell you, "Oh, they don't know the difference between us and Africans." Trust me, they know. They know. You can be nappy headed, you can look rough as shit, and they already know. Yeah, this is an American coming through. And if you should you speak multiple languages? I mean, if you want to, I'm not gonna tell anybody not to learn a different skill. But it goes back to what Wani was saying. Is it absolutely necessary? Of course not, because all major business is done in English. All of it, like every single one of it, they always do it in English, right? Because America runs the world. And this is what imperialism does. And not just our imperialism. This is off the backs of the British imperialism that happened, right? They spoke English, we speak English. It is what it is. But Black American English, you're definitely gonna be noticed wherever you go in this world. So take that as a badge of honor. If you move overseas somewhere, don't let them scare you into some shit. You can always go to the U.S. Embassy and they'll take you right home. Now, I mean, there's maybe a little gray area for some of y'all, but for the most part, you should be good to go. But shout out to you, Professor. Thank you for having me. My bad, I was a little late. I really do hope you connect with the lady I was introducing to you in the last space.
Oh yeah, and I enjoyed your space, man. It was
I
dope.
missed
Um,
it. You
yeah,
know,
it was
I
awesome.
wanted to mention not only is it the blue passport, like I said, it's the Americanism and it's our history of doing things in these other countries. And there was a African woman who hated my guts and for some, reason. And she complained that though she was born in America to two Ugandan parents, that she got treated like an African with her blue passport. And she was actually using her Ugandan passport because they thought she stole the passport. That's how much they know that we're different. They said, "Oh, you stole this. This is not yours." And she spoke
Wow.
perfect English. Well, it was very high pitched and annoying, but she spoke English. She did not have an accent. And they just looked at her and said, "Nope, you stole that passport." So yeah, we're a different group, and don't let them put an additional ball and chain on us to drag us down because they feel nervous about what they've done in the world. They had an opportunity to show up in the world a certain way and they didn't do it. That's not our fault. That's not our fault. Whose fault is it if China is the face of Asian people? Whose fault is that? It's not the Chinese people's fault that they have a larger body of land, that they have a long standing culture, that they've been through a lot of things in their culture. Not to say the other people haven't, but they are just not as prominent, okay? And they're not as powerful. They don't have as many weapons. They don't have the things that China has. even though I like Japan better, but that's my business. I did like that Chinese wall though. But
Japan had too much pork for me.
pork?
Yeah, they put
You
pork in
mean in
everything.
the food? Oh, yeah. I don't pay
Pretty
attention to that.
everything over there.
I don't. I'm
Man,
vegan,
you're
so I.
lying. Pork and everything. I
I
thought
was
it was.
vegan over there too. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
The fuck? No, like so, pork was banned for like 400 years in Japan. Then they opened it up and brought it back.
Yeah.
And it was like,
There's
all right, pork for
that.
Wow.
everybody. And they eat pork when they do fish, beef, and chicken all together. They eat more pork than anything.
No, wait a minute. Why
Wow.
was it banned?
Well, because it's a terrible meat to eat, and the Japanese weren't going for it.
Oh, okay. So for the normal reasons that it should be banned.
Yep.
Yeah, Dr. Shahrazad Ali showed the. Y'all seen her her like display her lesson with the Chicana worm?
Yep, but the pork chops and stuff,
Oh yeah, that shit is real. Like there's a fucking worm in pork that's heat resistant. Like why are we eating that stuff?
I don't eat it.
Stubbornness.
It's crazy. It's
It was
delicious.
good
I'll
enough
say
for my
that.
granddaddy.
Well, how you ask the question and make the statement, Professor?
I mean, I because I wanted to like flourish and lie and like virtue signal, and then I thought about it and said, you know what, that shit is delicious, but it's not worth it. I don't want a worm that can survive heat and radiation eating my fucking brain. That sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Why is this worm so? Well, that's why you have to, think about it. It has to be cured. That tells you all you need to know.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead, RDD.
Yes, good evening to the panel. Excuse my voice; it's a little raspy. I had surgery today. I just wanted to just make a couple of points to speak to everyone. Good
Hope you
evening.
feel better.
Thank you so much. To the fact that do we need to learn multiple languages or learn a different language? I wouldn't say that we have to, but I will also say that if you're going to be traveling a lot to certain countries, if you
This is a first. RDD, can you drop down and come right back? I can't hear you
I told
Oh
either.
my
everybody to
can,
God.
pre-drop.
can you hear me
Everybody
now?
got
Can you hear me now?
no.
What the fuck? This has never happened to
Listen,
me. Like,
listen.
what is this
Can,
about?
For
can,
everybody that's on stage right now, literally drop, switch to listeners, and request back. The stage is glitching. You can say, ask him how many times he's not gonna be able to hear you.
Oh
You got to
my
drop and come back.
goodness.
It's a glitch.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. And I have a good signal tonight. It's just I
No,
don't know
it's
what
not
this
you.
is
It's
about.
just spaces. They glitch like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's weird. Yes, I could
Yes,
hear you the
sir.
whole time.
evening once again to the panel. I just wanted to make a couple of points. Do you need to learn a multiple language? No, you don't have to, but I think that if you're going to visit certain countries frequently, or if you're going to get your hair done in establishments by people of different ethnicities, it's good to know basic words. It's good to know some of the things that they're saying because it could be a protection for you. I'll give you an example. In Brazil, when you go to Rio de Janeiro, they'll quickly give you the Americans an English menu. They charge more for the menu in English than in Portuguese. So I took up Portuguese, and the menu is cheaper than what they would give you as far as the English menu. Things like that is a protection for you. Also, you want to know what people are saying around you. You don't know, someone could be trying to rob you. You don't know. So I think that that's something that's important that we need to look at and to learn. I know years ago, Paris, they frowned upon if you didn't learn the French English. They wouldn't try to help you if you tried to talk to them English if you wanted directions. So, if you're going to visit certain places, research it and maybe just learn to, you don't have to speak it perfectly. Duolingo is great. Learn to pick up certain things. I think that'd be helpful for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, and I like that the gentleman brought up Paris, the Parisian. Yeah, that's a different. Speaking French is important. They have kind of like a little arrogance thing going on over there, so it
Exactly.
depends.
They do, but
Yeah.
they still wouldn't speak to me in French after I went out of my way to learn some stuff.
I don't
They
like
It
the. I
still
don't
would.
they
like
were
the French.
they wanted to practice English on me everywhere I went.
Wow.
I don't like the French for a number of reasons.
They stink.
Talk about it.
They stink.
Well, then they're cowards. When the Germans invaded, they told their people to stand down, don't fight inside their beautiful cities. They don't want them wrecked, so they gave it up and let the Nazis take over.
But
Coward.
Wow.
brother, we're talking two different things, though. You're talking
No, no,
history.
no.
I'm
You're
talking
talking
about
about.
visiting there.
No,
So
sir,
if you're
sir. I
visiting
promise you.
there,
I promise you. I'm not even talking remotely about what you said. I'm not even. I didn't even give that indication at all. That's why I said I don't even like the French, um,
Yeah, yeah. He wasn't talking about what
at
you were talking
all.
about, RD.
oh,
And
okay,
also,
excuse me, brother, excuse me.
You good.
and also, I wouldn't encourage anybody to go visit France right now, especially with all the bed bugs and shit they got going on. It's worse than third world.
Bed bugs.
That
Yes,
place is
it's
trash.
filthy. It's worse than
It's
the
Why
third.
does
terrible.
everybody tell me that?
It's listen.
They're filled
So
with foreigners.
on my official business, which I can't really talk about, we
Got it.
we spent a lot of time in Paris, and I was pissed the fuck off because we spent 17 hours in Dubai, and I really wanted to spend that time. I wanted to spend most of the time in Dubai, but we ended up spending it in Paris. And they're like, "Oh, you're not gonna go out and see the city for fucking what? The fuck? I don't want to see this shit. Shit is garbage." I don't like the French for a number of reasons.
After
Wow.
all that arrogance and all of
Thank
that,
you.
they end up with a whole bunch of horrible, nasty immigrants that don't want to do anything but burn the place down and will do so.
And they'll let them do it, which is the craziest part about it. And then when
It
something go
is
happen,
crazy.
they send their women out there naked in the streets to protest. Get the fuck out the way.
What?
Go look it up.
How is that a
I
protest?
don't get it.
I
Some of
don't
these
either.
things must be a culture clash.
It's something weird because the French, one thing about the French that I thought is awkward is the Foreign Legion. They have a path to citizenship through their military organization called the French Foreign Legion. So you can join their French Foreign Legion and fight for them for a number of years, and then you get become a naturalized French citizen. But they put your ass on the front line and basically try to kill you. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
it's just, but it's a really easy path to French citizenships. So y'all are right. France is full of foreigners, which probably is going to be its downfall.
Israel used to do the same thing with those asylum seekers from what's the name. Whenever they had a, they would just throw them on the front. Let me quit. Yeah, a lot of countries do that, which is interesting. But yeah, the French, and then they make you learn actual French. They make you learn a language before you can do that too. This is a grueling process. Give you a literacy test, all of that, and they're not like the Canadian French, which they discount that as actual French at all. So the shit they speak of in Quebec, they don't respect it over there in Paris.
Hmm. Very interesting. All right. So I don't know where I put the book, but in one of Shake Onto the Oaks books, he had a list of English words that are identical to ancient Egyptian, which I thought was very fascinating. But like Wani said, English is what we call a composite language. It's composed of several different languages, mainly German. I had a roommate in Cambridge, Massachusetts, who was German, and he's from Cologne, Germany, and he would bring his harem of girls over to and they would kind of kick it in my little room because I had the computer back in those days. And that's dating me, isn't it? I had the computer. Everybody has a cell phone now, right? But they would all come in my room to get on. Let me tell you how old I am. They would get on Instant Messenger. Anybody remember Instant Messenger was a bomb for real.
Yeah,
No,
I am
no
for
cap.
Yahoo.
I miss that shit. That shit was bomb. But anyway, long story short, they would be talking in German and call me crazy, guys, but I almost could understand what they were saying. Almost. German has a whole bunch. I think the word is cognate, the words that are real close to your word. But you know what I'm saying? I could listen to them. And another thing about German is the way the subject verb agreement is the same. Like in Spanish, things are not always in line. It's backwards. Like, what's a good example? Yo quiero.
Medellin cartel, cartel Medellin, housewife,
Yeah,
Casablanca,
the
it's like
Casablanca,
stuff
that's
like that.
beautiful. That's perfect and simple. Thank you, Kanye. Casablanca, house white. So in German there it's the same as ours. So when they're speaking in German, if they slowed it down, I really can understand, I can understand what they were saying. It was very weird.
Was ist los, my friend?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I had fun in
So
Germany though. It was a nice place.
Yeah, I
what
did too. I had fun in Munich. Munich was great.
Real quick, what was your MOS?
Excuse me?
Y'all forget my
I
dog.
said, what was your MOS?
No, I'm not a member of service. I just traveled a lot.
Oh, okay. My bad, my bad. You hit the
Nah, you
Black
good.
Forest?
You good. Yeah, I traveled. I traveled a lot since I was a kid. So I took my first cruise when I was 5 years old. I was the only kid on the whole boat, and that was back in 1980. So my parents, they always had us traveling, going to see different countries, different experiences. I've been a lot of places, so it's a great thing to do.
So,
You know, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say is I haven't been to Germany yet. So
You'll love it.
I look.
Great
Oh
beer.
yeah, that's one European city actually want to see.
Just bring your wife with you.
Nah, don't do that. Go by yourself and enjoy yourself.
Nah, bring your wife with you.
Nah, go by
Why
yourself.
the chicks? It's a lot of fast women there or something.
Fat.
No, the
Listen, listen.
Europeans is
It's the
it's
most.
a black man's haven.
It's the
Yeah,
most.
I know because my roommates girls used to all be like throwing themselves at me.
Yeah, it's the most
Germany,
aggressive.
Austria, Romania, all these places that I visited.
It's the most
No,
Um,
aggressive. It's the most
you'll
no.
love it.
aggressive.
Budapest, you'll love it.
Are
Hey,
They got the
they?
most
Professor.
aggressive women I've ever seen in my
I
life.
Wait,
know.
Professor. Remember
I've
what
seen them in
Dr. Francis
action.
Cress Wilson said about them German women, right?
Yeah,
What?
Yeah,
yeah, she
that
sure
yeah. And
did.
I had one a few couple years ago, so yeah, I think she's right.
No, I'm telling you,
Remind
the
me of
most
it.
aggressive women I've ever seen in my life were in Germany. I never seen anything like it.
What do
The
they
Brazilians were
do?
more aggressive though.
Wait, hold on. What'd you say, Wanda?
What do they do?
Um, how can I put this? You know how like just think of like a drunk frat person, right?
Hmm.
But this they're women, so like they're like, hey, how you doing?
Okay.
Hi, and while they're saying
Now,
hi,
see, I'm wondering
they're
if
putting their hands all over you.
right.
Yeah, they're so into sex, like just so
Very,
into
Now,
sex.
very into
I'm
it.
wondering if this could be part of the reason why they're having such a problem getting rid of a lot of immigrants. Because I have seen the people in Europe, first of all, who's using the African prostitutes laying on mattresses in the woods of Italy? Anybody know? Because they're literally outside on mattresses getting enough money to continue to lay on the mattress outside. So
Wow.
somebody's buying this and they're there. They are, I would say there's millions of them there. They are just, who's purchasing this? It ain't
Oh,
African men.
if you go to a nightclub in Germany as a black man,
You will love it.
you will how can I put this? You will have a
RD
meet.
sounds like he loves white women. Are you sure
He
you're in the right
does.
room?
Uh,
I love all women.
Yeah, you might
I love all
you might
women.
be in the
I've
wrong
been to
room, brother.
Asia.
You
I've been to
might be.
Philippines. I've been to Thailand.
We don't
they getting
care.
at you,
We
man.
don't care about the
Uh,
women that you had sex with. You sound
Congratulations,
like
young
an
brother.
HIV recipient.
HIV
Well,
recipient.
congratulations,
But
RDD. But
but
I
you
Get
just
have to
wanted to
but you
say
have to
the
listen. You have to understand something
no,
on
shush,
seriousness.
shush, shush. I don't want
You
to
had
hear about your
no.
exploits.
I'm not talking about sex. I'm not talking about that. My cousins that was members of service, even my uncles, they got treated better in Europe. These are men from the South. They got treated better in Europe than they did here in the States,
oh, that's
where
true.
they fought in Europe and was greatly accepted, and came back home and had to deal with segregation. So Europe
I
has always
understand.
been
I
openly to
understand
men of
that.
color.
Okay, but check
Black,
this
we,
out.
we, we use the term black over here, young fella.
That's really bizarre because you're treated badly in America. That means you don't like Black American women and you
Who said
prefer
that we didn't
German
like Black
women.
American women? I
That's
never said
funny.
that.
We were treated better in Europe, so we like German women
I
now.
never
Like,
said nothing
What?
make
about
it
that,
make
love.
sense. Make
I
it make
never
sense.
What?
said that. I said about how they
No,
were
no, no. I
treated
don't
by
want to
the
hear it.
government. I didn't say nothing about women. I never said anything about that.
But you just put those two together. You
No, I
said,
didn't. I know I
yes, you
didn't.
did.
Bro?
Yes, you did.
Bro? It may that may not have been your intention, but it sounded
Well,
that
if it
way.
did, I apologize. That's not what I was making. Two different distinctions. I was talking about entertainment, then I went back into history about how, like I said, my members of family that were in the military, they came from the
Well,
South. They were
see, we
treated better than they
understand
were
that.
there.
There's
So
okay,
if it
that's
came out
nice.
that way, then I do apologize.
Treated better because white women are climbing on your
Not
body.
about white women. They didn't
I've
have to go to a
seen
separate toilet.
I've seen them in action. I have. In the UK, they're basically gang raping Caribbean men. They're
Yep.
gang
Yep.
raping. They're like gang raping them. And they have literal comedy shows about how they go to the club to get them to gang rape them. So you don't have to convince me. I've seen them and I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting.
Wani, you said where's
Um
his place?
they
Get your
have
thirsty ass
everywhere.
on. Like, literally,
Anywhere.
no,
Anywhere.
literally. If you ever been to Germany, right? And that's why I was
Anywhere in the
telling the
UK.
professor to bring his wife. But Germany is very very interesting, right? Even the mixed black women over there who fathers fell victims to German ladies, they are so thirsty. It's ridiculous, bro. Like literally,
Yeah.
don't let them
Why do
speak
you
English.
think that there is it because their men suck balls? Because the thirstiness is curious to me.
Whoa.
It's well, I know from having a German roommate and a German his German harem coming to visit in my room. They would tell stories. Y'all forgive my dog. She's having a moment on my bed. She jumped on the bed.
I
She's
can't hear
having a moment.
anything.
Oh, okay,
I'm
good.
trying to
So
hear it.
anyway, so they would no, they would tell us stories, and basically a lot of them were very rich, like wealthy daughters, and one of them, I guess I'm not gonna say her name, but one of them would, she was very beautiful, just very beautiful, model less beautiful, and but she was a freak. Like she would, I'm trying to see how much I should say on here. Just
Whatever you
you
wanted, she
know,
was down for. Just say it like that.
yeah, yeah. She would be trying to invite me to certain parties and shit like that, and you know what I'm saying. Well, anyway, I had a long talk with her one day, and she was like, "Oh yeah, in Germany, like her parents." She said her parents went to sex clubs, and their culture's different. Like she said, her parents would wife and husband swap. They just got a different
Similar to
culture over
the
there.
Netherlands, but not as
Yep.
popular. I get it. So it is basically being lust filled. Not so because like in Russia, they don't like their men. I mean, women tell me these things. They don't like them. They're like trying to get the hell up out of there and jump on any other man. But it's just I think that the immigration problems that they're having over there are driven by the fact that a lot of them don't want these people to leave, and there's a
Oh,
portion that want the country to be clean, and then there's a portion that wants them to lay on mattresses in the woods, and it's really in conflict right now.
so you said Russian women don't like their men?
No,
That makes
they
sense to
said
me
they're all
because
impotent because they drink vodka all day.
Dad, you beat me to it, Wani. I was gonna say you. I couldn't even get it out. Like, yeah, I read a statistic that said that Russian men have one of the lowest lifespans in the world,
Oh, they're full of
because,
alcohol.
but their vodka's different. Do y'all know Russian vodka got turpentine in it?
Good God,
Yeah,
what
they
are
used to
they
drink. They
doing
used to
to
drink
their
torpedo fluid.
insides?
They started drinking. They started drinking when they're like
What is
6, 7 years
wrong
old.
with them? And their women,
It's-
some of the women are very cute because they have the Siberian admixture, but the men aren't cute. Okay. So, yeah, those women need to get the hell up out of there. If they're not drunk, get away.
Yeah.
Because if the men are drinking that hard, and they are, like, it's normal for them.
I had a friend in high school. He was Ukrainian, but he was Russian lineage, and he was telling me about that shit. He said he got killed in a car wreck, but he said that alcoholism is so prevalent in Russia that they think of things in terms of vodka. Like, how much would that cost? Well, it costs about 100 bottles of vodka.
What? Are you
Like
for
that. That's
real?
it.
What?
It dominates their mind.
It's
Like
their culture.
God.
Black Truth, talk to us.
Hey, how's it going? Peace to the room. Salute, brother professor. Salute, sister Nikki. Salute, sister Wani. Just wanted to add a few things on the subject that we veered off to with Eastern Europe. The
That's
Eastern
because that
European
thirsty guy was on
STD
the
rates are
stage.
through the roof.
That's
So,
because of
uh,
RDD.
I'm
You
sorry.
said HIV?
Yeah, HIV, especially in like Russia, Eastern
Wow.
Europe,
God.
all the. I mean, it's a mess. But just STDs in general. Yeah, so don't let these people fool you. It's pretty much just like on the so-called continent and other places, just full of STDs. So, just wanted to add that insight. But Anyway, on the subject of the room, I think there's a misconception when it comes to people who are multilingual. In certain countries, they speak. I mean, they can speak 4 or 5 different languages, and yet they don't have running water. They don't have flushable toilets. They
Right.
don't have all kinds of things. I mean, just basic understanding of science, technology, industry, anything. So knowing multiple languages does not equate to intelligence. And this is coming from a person who speaks multiple languages myself. So, uh, should FBAs speak multiple languages? I would say you can if you want. I personally haven't seen many uh, economic benefits to speaking multiple languages, but it definitely helps socially. So it's one of those things you can take or leave. It's not something that automatically indicates a certain level of intelligence. But just wanted to add that insight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. That fits right into my title. That's why I said, "Does fleeing equal multilingualism?" And he said it better than I said it. When you dig down to the brass tacks of why these people speak multiple 4 and 5 languages, is because of um, refugees fleeing in, or lack of economic opportunity. One of my best friends I met at Harvard was from Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam you have to learn at least 3 languages. Like, it's not negotiable. Like, you have to learn. You speak what we call Dutch. It's called Netherlander in the Netherlands, but America made up a word for them. But you have to speak their native language, and you have to pick 2 different languages, English and probably French, or English and German. But that's because of economic opportunities surrounding them. So, like our sister Wani was trying to imply earlier, or was implying, not trying to imply, we're powerful, and we're like pretty. It doesn't seem like it right now because of all of the propaganda we talked about yesterday when we talked about classical condition. We're conditioned through the media machine to think that we're just in some hardship situation. But when you compare foundational Black Americans to the rest of the world, we're in a position of great power.
Yes.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to say that back to what I was saying, we developed a stellar record globally because of a lot of military activity over the years. Jesse Owens, we have a bunch of prima ballerinas that went to Europe because it was a better environment for them. We may not be familiar with those women. I am, but they made a splash overseas. Josephine Baker is deified in France. She is literally deified. They did some new honor for her in France. I forget what it was. We had Leontine Price, who was an opera singer over there. This is a long, long history. Louis Armstrong went over there, King of Pop, of course. And we have expat communities. Again, we may not know about them, but we have expat communities. We also have charitable organizations over there. So we are rock stars, and people want to talk to us in English. Okay?
Right,
They don't want to talk to you in Yoruba. They don't want to talk to you in your language. They will never learn your language to speak to you unless they're trying to go over there and rip you off. No one is going to speak to you in your little uh, dead language that's going to go out of style, that your country does not even speak to do business with. All of these people babbling about all those native languages. Oh, we speak this. Who cares? What good is it? Because the moment that you leave, no one on earth speaks that language but you. So you can be in whatever little country you want to be in, one of the 54 countries, and you can babble in whatever language you speak, and no one is going to know what you're talking about anywhere. You're going to have to speak English or some European language just to get out of that continent. So have a nice time.
Italian. I found out in the 2000s when I was at Harvard that Italian is a dying language. I actually like to hear Italian. That is cool. It's cool to hear that
It
language.
is fun.
It's got some swag to it. It's something soulful about them folks. But they were like, it's a dying language.
It is.
FBI, FBA Stoic, talk to us.
Hey, peace to the room, peace to everybody in the room. When you just traveling, you don't have to learn other cultures, languages, and stuff like that. It's mostly immigrants and tethers who shame FBAs about being multi-language,
Hello.
and most of them will just have a second language, and the second language is English. And the reason why it's English is because all the tethers and immigrants are trying to get over here. And I'm gonna just
Hello.
land my plane with that.
Fleeing equals multilingualism. I want to say culturalism so bad. I'm running away, so I need to learn another culture. Mother is a necessity of invention. That's why I'm dyslexic. I think invention is the
Everybody
mother of.
says that sideways. Necessity is the mother of invention, meaning that if I, um, am planting some cotton and there's a better way to plant it, I might invent something to help me plant cotton.
Right. And if I'm in a country I might starve to death, I might need to learn the language of the country down the street so I can get me some food.
Mhm.
So knowing other languages is not a flex. I remember when I was a kid, it was a damn in the 90s and early 2000s, it was a flex. I speak this, I speak that. Well, I speak this and I speak my native language. I wish I knew what's that song? I wish I knew then what I know now. I would have made fun of them. I would have said some shit
Yep,
like, I don't have to know that language.
I agree.
Andy, talk to us, Andy.
So, peace to the room, peace to the professor, peace to Wani, co-host, and peace to Nikki the guy, for sure. And peace to everybody that's listening. Um, I wanted to ask a question about the topic though, like, and something you just said, Professor, though, like about it not being a flex. So let's say worst case scenario. Well, I ain't gonna say worst case scenario because we might have some Democratic shields in here, but if Kamala wins and 20 million more Spanish speaking people
How
come
do I
across.
use my screen in thing of my
You said what?
keep keep telling us the horror story, Andy.
Yeah, my screen start cracking when he start talking that.
Yeah, so if 20 million more Spanish speaking people come across this border, like, it, could it possibly be a flex to learn Spanish or to know Spanish too?
Oh no, man. Like, oh
I mean,
man, that
because
thought.
in elementary school, I know coming up, they always told us that, you know, you're gonna need to learn a second
Okay,
language. But in
okay, I'm
public
gonna say
school here,
why not.
we always had to do a second language.
That's
And
fine. You can do one, but learning Spanish isn't going to help because they already said you have to be a native Spanish speaker. So they figured a way to discriminate against Americans by insisting that you're a native English speaker because they all work good together and you just speaking Spanish isn't good enough. Okay? So
You know,
that's another lawsuit for America.
well, what I'm
Wani
saying
beat
is,
me to.
I no, I guess I'm asking, like, how would it not help for us to know at least a little bit of Spanish, like if shit
You
goes
can learn,
bad?
like we said earlier in the room, learn whatever you want. Learn for survival, learn for fun, but we don't have to. I mean, think about it. The Greco-Roman Empire was extremely powerful. Who speaks Greek?
Oh.
Nobody. The moment they leave
Hello.
Greece, they have to learn how to speak another language, or either they probably already know because of the situation they're in. Israel thinks they're powerful. Who speaks Hebrew? Nobody. Just them.
So, worst case scenario, there's a clear effort to replace us, and we become outnumbered.
We're already outnumbered.
Well, let's say it gets worse
How?
with more.
We've been living in the belly of the beast. We're already outnumbered.
I, yeah, I get that, but I guess I'm trying to ask a question like if it gets, it extremely worse with people who only speak Spanish,
Where do you
you
live?
know,
If
and
you
they
don't have
become.
kids with them, you good, man.
Where do you
I
live?
mean,
Do you think that's going to happen where you are?
in North Carolina,
Yeah.
um, possibly depends on how many people they let cross that border,
I
Well,
had a
and how many black people they continue to throw in the prison industrial complex in my state. So, or
I
or
90,
suffer health
96,
disparities, and they
90,
can't get.
96% of Black Americans are not in jail. So 50% of us are not in jail. So let's not do that.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna say that by itself. I wanted to, add the different things that are causes of death that are high on the cause of death list for
let me hit it
black
from
people.
another.
Because
Let's
Let
you
me
asked me a question like, do I think it could possibly go that way in my state? I'm trying to think of worst case scenario how it could get there as a possibility. I'm not saying that's what it is. I was just throwing that out there.
let me give you a scenario that you probably that y'all aren't thinking. I had a very an adequate Spanish teacher in high school, and I made friends with a dude from Peru, um, close friends, and used to hang out with him. And I picked up. I'm one of those dudes that picks up languages real fast. So Wani kind of touched on it a minute ago when she said different dialects. So my question would be, if let's say we're in this doomsday situation and you learned a dialect of Spanish, um, what would be I could see the usefulness. I do see the usefulness to know what's going on, to kind of know what people are talking about. But there are so many dialects of Spanish, and it's so let me what's the right word? There are hierarchies within that community. Like my buddy was from Peru, and like everybody looked down upon him, and they looked down upon Mexican people. So like if you spoke, according to my former friend, he died in a car wreck, but he said if you speak Mexican Spanish, people will, nobody will associate with you. That was his words. And it's Peruvian Spanish was different. So I'm just trying to see I see the utility of a brother, like, no knowledge is power, no matter how you cut it. So knowing what's going on is useful, but in that type of in that type of let's say that type of situation erupted in the United States, who would you, how would it be, you know, who would you talk to? What dialect would you learn? You got people from Venezuela, you got people from different places, like, and they know where you're coming from by just same way when we talk, you're like, man, where you from? Memphis? You from Alabama? They know where you're from. You know what I'm saying? So how would it be?
I mean, let me throw you another example that just
Go ahead.
for reference of some shit that pissed me off. Like, like at my job, like if I go in the HR office, they got Spanish speaking people that can't type. They got a clerical job, but they can't type 50 words per minute in English faster than me. But they got the
Wow.
fucking job though. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? That shit is a problem. And I pointed that shit out to my supervisor and made them have to have a whole meeting. And I almost got fired behind that shit because I started some shit up in there. Like, they, I ain't gonna say it, I won't being racist. I was just making a point as an American, and I didn't feel like, what I'm saying, they should have that job over me.
Was your
As
boss
far-
white or black?
They were white,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
but
Yeah.
we had to have that conversation. Like, they called me off the floor and made me come in the meeting. And when I was up there talking, it was a lot of motherfuckers agreeing with me about that shit. But it seemed like a lot of them was scared to agree with me behind that shit. And I genuinely, like, I saw the fear in people of not wanting to
Yeah.
openly agree with me in the meeting, but I know they did though.
You to my other black people?
Black
No,
and white.
all of them. They all agree, but they're scared to be perceived as racist. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and that
these
shit is a problem.
foreigners. Those foreigners are pulling our black card. Africans
right.
are over uh, in Africa pulling our black card, standing over there in Ukraine pulling our black card. That's why you keep hearing the word black people are over here doing. No, no, they're not.
Mhm.
Your African behind is over there doing it. You have the reputation that you have because of the things you continue to do and have done historically. It's a whole different story between us.
Right. That's a tough situation, bro. But just make you feel better. I'm dealing with the same similar type of situation right now, and it's very frustrating. But well, it's in my instance, it's even more frustrating when you know it's an issue and your own people won't stand with you because they're afraid of losing their job. When if we all stood together as a group, they're not gonna fire everybody. And on the flip side of that, they're gonna fire everybody if we don't stand together eventually anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's so frustrating.
Yeah, like the black HR lady got really mad at me when I said what I said about them not being able to type 50 words as many words a minute in English as me, but they got the clerical position. She like looked at me funny, but and then she kept trying to give me pushback and shit. And I'm like, bitch, shut the fuck up. I'm
Right.
here trying to win for us, and you sitting up here cause you cool with uh whatever her name was. I don't give a damn. But I said that shit, yo, for real. So I probably won't have a job next week. But if Trump win, I might. Shit. Mm-hmm.
Another
Yeah,
thing,
I feel you.
another thing we need to talk about is there is a rule that says that you're allowed to get medical treatment in your own language, in your native language. So I called the guy who created this rule. I think he lives out here. And you know what I found? That his dumb ass only made the rule so that Mexicans and in Spanish speaking people can get help in their language. Only foreigners can get help. So if I go to the doctor and the doctor is foreign, which is the case, is why I have to move, I can't demand to speak in English. Did you know that? I have to listen to his broken ass Vietnamese.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have that right. Just it's a one-way right. And then he goes, "Oh no, they have to translate." Yeah, they're not doing that. They're not getting a translator in the room. And they here's another thing they'll do is if you say, "Well, I don't want to talk to this doctor. I want to speak to someone in American English. I want to speak in native English." Like you asked to for me to speak in native Spanish if I want to work in a warehouse with a bunch of Mexicans. You want me to speak your style of language and actually be from Mexico. Which is a scam they're doing. They're going to get sued. Believe me, it's going to go to the Supreme Court at some point and they're just going to be labeled racist
It
for
has to.
doing that. Just like the Hindu people installed all these caste
Caste system.
systems
Yeah.
in these IT companies, that's going to come to a head because their pushback was, "How dare you call our religion racist?" Well, sorry, it is. You have caste system in it. You figure it out. So anyway, if I ask for assistance, what they'll do is they'll say, "Well, I'm speaking English," and they'll have a total accent you can't understand. That's what they were doing at AT&T, and I had to do an internal lawsuit through their legal department because they were telling me they were speaking English, and I'm like, I don't know what you're. I can understand like one third of the words. It was that heavy. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to bully us, tell us they speak English when they don't, treat us in foreign languages. And if we demand our rights to be treated in our own language, they just tell us that they're speaking English and we're a bitch. I mean, that's what they said. You're just being racist.
Yeah, I had to drop a class in college behind some shit like that. I had to drop a chemistry class because I had a teacher. He was something else, but he was from South Africa, but he was African, but he was like from somewhere else. And the way he was teaching his science kind of went against, it was like backwards. Like, I ain't gonna say he was writing in Arabic, but it, when we came up in American public schools, they taught us a certain way to do math and exponents and shit like that, right? So
Right.
the way he was doing it was like backwards. So I was getting all the right answers, and he always be like, "Oh, show your work, show your work." So when we showed our work, when I showed my work, like, he got mad and was like, kept calling me up to the board, and he was like, "Nah, you don't do it like this." He was he was trying to teach the class the way he did math, but everybody in the class kept complaining and shit because we couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying. He was trying to teach us a different way to do math from what we have learned enough to be able to graduate high school. You know what I'm saying? And that shit hard enough. And
Right.
so when I explained that shit to, my advisors and shit, because everybody kept going complaining and shit because nobody could pass. Because he would always either mark people's shit wrong or taking points off your shit because he couldn't understand how you did your work, or he was accusing people of cheating and shit. Cause like, how you get this answer and this and that? I'm like, motherfucker. I I mean, this was like the year 2001 when this shit happened, yo. So I still remember that shit though, and I wish I could find a way to go back to sue and prove that shit. But I ended up having to drop that damn class because they didn't do nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess they wanted to retain their professors that they had or whatever they were doing or whatever, but they really won't on the student side about that shit. And that
Well,
shit pissed me the fuck off. I just went on
bro,
ahead and dropped that shit.
brother Andy, when I came to X, I came for the exact same reason. For these hard sciences are dominated by foreigners. Even at historically black, did you go to a historically black college or
Yeah.
PWI?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
but
don't
but
matter.
this class was at a community college before I went. No, after I came back from a HBCU.
It don't
Mm-hmm.
even matter. Community colleges is worse because what I'm trying to talk about is the pathway to to careers and as a medical doctor or dentist are dominated by foreigners, and they're gate kept. So they make sure a lot of professors make sure that your grades are low in chemistry, physics, and what I'm saying calculus, like the required classes. I'm not sure if calculus is required now, but in the hard sciences, because those classes help you get jobs that get money. Calculus is a required class to get an engineering degree. Engineers make bank. So what I'm trying to say is they gatekeep these fucking classes, man. They don't want to help you. And if their job is to teach you, why don't they have math equations that are done in a way that a foundational Black American can understand? Why don't you use our names? Why don't you use our scenarios? I'm just saying, bro. In my view, it's a fucking conspiracy. They want you to get bonked out of that class. They want you to drop, or they want you to finish the class with a C. So when you apply to medical school or dental school, they look at that C on your record and say, "Nah, I'm not going to accept you." It's a mess. Mama Jersey, talk to us.
Hey to the room. Hey, Professor. Hey, Wani. Now, boom. Should FBA speak multiple languages? Um, like you said, learning a language is power, but even learning the language, it is rigged how they have it set up. Now, I live in New Jersey, and my daughter goes to a school that's like 70. Her former school was over 70% Hispanic. Now, with those kids get ESL. So basically, those kids are learning. Um, they already know how to speak Spanish, but then they're getting instruction in English in school, right? As soon as they hit
Right.
kindergarten. That's not how our kids are learning. We don't get language instruction starting in goddamn kindergarten, plus have a parent that also speaks that language to reinforce that language at home. So those kids are automatically at an advantage over our children, whether
Hello.
whether we know it or not. They're bilingual from from 5 to 6 years old because our school is teaching them English, right? So, and your child is not going to start learning another language until sixth grade or until they get into high school, and by that time they're too far behind the like the other kids doing that. They just want to pass the class, and get out of it. Now, what they're doing, they're using in New Jersey Spanish as a way to gatekeep jobs because they're refusing to speak English. What they're saying is, okay, when we go on a job, because we don't understand English like that, we want everyone to speak Spanish, right? That's a way of them gatekeeping jobs. I'm also glad that Wani says something about healthcare. Now, I have a homegirl who's been uh kind of like a healthcare administrator like for the past 20 years. How they game the system also is, it's a certain rule in New Jersey where she told me the exact mileage, but let's just say if you can't find a doctor that speaks your language within like 50 miles of where you live at, um you they'll pay, you know how the what is that, the out of network cost for you to get a doctor that speaks your language, and they can be out of network. So they're gaming the system that way too. That's in a way getting better healthcare than regular Americans are getting healthcare, because they can just be like, oh, a doctor doesn't speak my language within 50 miles. I want an out of network goddamn doctor, which, as most of us know, is cost higher than an in-network provider. So that's the way that they're gaming the goddamn system too. So I recently learned, I graduated from an engineering school in New Jersey. It's called NJIT, right? It's one of the top engineering schools in the country. Now, my school just became a Hispanic serving institution in goddamn Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey is about 50% black American. The Hispanic population is only
Right.
20%. When I graduated college in 2004, we didn't go to school with a lot of Hispanic. We didn't go to school with a lot of Hispanic children. We went through a specific program called, like most of us did, called the Education Opportunity Fund, which came about because of the North riots, right? So this fund was kind of specifically for the brought about because of those riots of Black Americans fighting. Now, suddenly, my engineering school, like I said, located in Newark, New Jersey, with a population of almost 50% Black Americans, um, 25% of that engineering school are Hispanic children. So basically, after me and my cohorts left, the school made a push to get Hispanic children to be engineers and things like that. So right now they're saying the black kids, and I mean I'm gonna put black in parentheses because it's the Caribbean, Africans, and all the other kids too. Within that category. So let's put that in parentheses. They're like 10% of the student population, but these Hispanic kids are 25 to 30% of the population. And like I said, 20 years ago, it was not like that. So they're making a push for these people, and we really better wake up to this shit. They're using everything to give these people leverage over us, including a language which they're giving them which they're giving them an advantage of them by being bilingual from our taxpayer dollars, and our kids aren't getting the same advantage of that. So we better wake up to what they're doing.
Oh yeah, she's spitting fire, man.
Yep.
And it's spitting fire. Very, very powerful. They're blocking us out of engineering programs. Yeah, it's like we're under attack. Well said, Friedman.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey,
Hey. I wanted to say that, what you guys are saying, they are using it to block people out. Um, I don't want to say exactly what I do for work, but I do come across a lot of cultures of different people, and when I come across Hispanic ones, um, they do tend to have like a more elevated position in these workplaces when it comes to how they can easily like ascend, or when it comes to how they gatekeep those positions to kind of keep it for themselves, or even sometimes try to finesse other people out of their positions. And that is why, when it comes to should FBA speak multiple languages, I do believe that we should. Now, of course, everybody doesn't have to, and everybody doesn't have to learn Spanish, but I believe that we should at least be learning languages normally. Like, it should be a normal thing for us to speak more than one, maybe even two languages. And the reason being is because our culture, since it's in English, it's kind of open for everybody to see and take what they want because they can understand it since they've been brought into English, especially by a lot of other tethers who kind of come here and they learn how we work, and then they teach it to everybody else, inviting everybody else to our cookout, so to speak. So I believe that if they are learning from us, seeing what we're doing, and even in a way in which they can take from us, we should be able to learn exactly what they are taking and see what it is that we can get as a return on them taking from us. But not only that, but when it comes to how Hispanic people are, especially in the workplace in which I'm at, like I'll encounter people who would Hispanic people who would speak Spanish, just so that you don't hear what they're like talking about or know exactly what they're talking about, or want to talk more about whatever it is that they got going on personally. And I'm learning multiple languages as well. Spanish is one of them, and like I'll try to listen in. I don't understand Spanish well enough to eavesdrop, but I want to at least get to that point where I can understand when they're eavesdropping, like how they teach languages in the I believe it's the Navy SEALs. Like they in the military, like I heard that they teach it real vigorously so that they can understand intention behind the language. I believe that we should at least have a good amount of Black Americans who are good at picking up on intention, not on just Spanish, but also like Mandarin, Chinese, um, what else, like Farsi and Arabic, stuff like that, so that we can know what these people are talking about and we can know what they're doing in our backyards. And especially if it has anything to do with us, kind of like how they have the ADL to go out there, find information on what these people are doing or have going on that could affect their people. I believe that we should have something similar to that with people who speak different languages so that we can know what these people are planning to do or going to do so we can stay ahead of the game as well, kind of like a black CIA, so to speak. And
So I
so,
wanted to say something.
mhm.
Go ahead, Wani.
Um, so it sounds like, so say for instance, you learn, what two languages are you trying to learn?
Spanish and Japanese.
Okay. So you learned fluent Spanish and fluent Japanese. Now what? You can hear them gossiping about you? That's the whole point of it?
Not necessarily gossip, but like when it came to those
That's all you
4chan
meant.
things,
That's all you mentioned. That you want to hear them talking shit about you, basically.
no, not just that, but I'm like when it came to those 4chan websites and whatnot, like they were actually planning real things on there, and people were able to find out. That's what got that thing shut down. But if we
So
don't,
we should learn languages to catch terrorists.
I mean, people who attempt to come and harm us, I think we should know about that beforehand.
What language was the 4chan or the 4chan people speaking in?
Um, they were speaking in English, but they were talking about what they wanted to do to like Jews or blacks and whatnot. But I'm like, we don't know what type exists in other languages because we know that
Okay, I'm
Latinos.
confused. You said something got shut down because of a language?
No, not because of a language, but because of what they were plotting.
Okay, so like I said before, you basically want to learn Spanish and Japanese so you can hear at your job whether
No,
those people are talking, because you knowing Spanish is not going to help you on your job. How is that going to help you? They're just going to hire somebody who speaks Spanish and it won't be you.
I mean,
I don't see the point of learning it based on those reasons, but I'm open to hear some legitimate reasons. Just to hear some rice stomping hoe do my nails and talk shit about me? No, I'm not even going to
Wani,
go in there.
I love it that you identified earlier that that's low self-esteem. I never even thought about that before, but learning a language, and I'm not talking about the gentleman who was talking earlier. Somebody brought it up earlier, but learning a language just to see how people are making fun of you while you pay them for a
Oh
service,
my
that's low
goodness.
self-esteem.
Mm. But I'm like,
Or
That's
me having a job, say I have a job at a doctor's office and most of the clients are Spanish speaking. I'm going to learn to speak Spanish so that I can make sure they're not calling me a name.
they're not making fun of me.
That's
no,
not a legitimate reason to speak. Now, if I go and move over to Spain or something and I want to just be conversational in the grocery store or something functional, then that's something else. But just to see, I don't have to learn any language to live in the United States of America. And if I need to learn all these languages, you know how many people are here? Do you know how many different languages are spoken here? We'll never be able to speak all these people's languages. Vietnamese? Really? We have everything here. Chinese. I'm not speaking all these languages to accommodate them. The rule is when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And if those
Right.
people are running around plotting against us, they need to be arrested. And I don't need to learn to speak all their languages to keep up with them. I'm too old for that.
no.
This has not been
Um,
like an exercise in philosophy. The philosopher goes looking for A, and when he does his practice, he finds C. He doesn't find anything he's looking for, but he finds something. This space has kind of brought out that, like several spaces earlier, we're still suffering that collective low self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? And we're still suffering from that. We got to work. That whole slave mentality thing. That's not a proper motivation to learn a language to make sure people ain't making fun of you.
no,
That's terrible.
I'm not saying that it's just so that you can hear gossip.
That's
That's not
all
what I'm
you
saying.
said. That's all you're going to do with it.
All right. But what I'm saying is that you
What are
can at
you going to
least
do with it? Just prove me wrong. What are you going to do with this
you
Spanish? Because you said you want to learn how to eavesdrop and understand what they're saying. You didn't say I want to go to Spain or I want to go down to South America. Learning Spanish is very it's a lot of bang for your buck. You know what I'm saying? So if you learn Portuguese, you can go to Brazil and talk to some people and you can go to Portugal. Blah, who cares? But if you learn
Hey, Wani.
Spanish, you can speak to people all over a whole continent called South America, and you can go to Spain and speak to people in Spain, and you might be able to understand some things Italians are saying. They tell me. So that
Right.
Just call it for what it is. People want to learn other languages so they have access to the woman. That's all it is.
that
Uh
could be
oh.
it.
Uh
Because
oh.
That's all it is.
that was some low self-esteem reasons. Well, I want to see people talking about me.
We're at
People can
home. We're
be
not
talking about
capitulating to
you in
anybody.
any language.
We're at
They
home. We're not capitulating to anybody. That I
right.
mean,
I'm
like you
not
Right.
said,
bending the knee to nobody. You speak my language or get out.
that's it.
That's it.
And
All
the
that, all
rule
the other shit
need
is just sexual. What is it called? Racial sexual access. That's
yeah,
all it is.
sexual access. We
Cut
need
that
to
shit out.
change the
You can see right
rule
through it.
that you have to speak English just as hard as a French. The French, they didn't even have any forms in English for me to fill out to get my ID.
Hello.
Got it? That's how we need to be.
Yeah.
but like I said before, I am not just talking about understanding gossip. What I'm saying is that understanding what they could be doing in forms of like setting you up, which
I
can
do
happen.
not work for the
And
CIA. You are
but
asking us to learn what, how many languages to see if some foreigner is trying to, they speak, they're plotting against us in Arabic, they're
But
plotting
but but
against us in Chinese
no,
languages.
no disrespect, no disrespect, Freeman. Actually, you're helping us to understand something. That's back, in my opinion, Wani. That's slave mentality. Like we need to put a cape on to be CIA and not get paid for it. They got agencies to do that. Why do we need to do that?
I mean, do these agencies really work in our favor? Do they really work to protect Black Americans from what these illegals are doing, or even just immigrants in general? Like it's kind of one of those things where we have to protect ourselves.
They're not just doing it to us. We don't need to just protect ourselves. They're not just doing these things to us. They have a caste system that doesn't like anybody but themselves. They don't want anyone who doesn't speak English that's native. That includes white people. So it's not just us. White people need to get off the couch.
No, I'm talking about the I'm
Right.
talking about the CIA and the FBI. I'm not talking about like these immigrants. I'm talking about who's going to protect us. Are the CIA
But I
Oh,
hear you.
no,
But what I'm
Lord.
saying, brother, is like we've been put in a position as foundational Black Americans where we've been relied upon to save the world, and some of us has inculcated that idea and say, "Well, I need to save the world." When I'm saying we need to sit back and get our fucking money and like enjoy life. Like we don't owe anybody any goddamn thing. I'm not gonna go out and learn a language to try to save the world again. You know what I'm saying? It's time for us to sit back and enjoy being alive. You know what I'm saying?
The only bona fide reason to speak a language, in my humble opinion, is if I were to move permanently or long term over to, let's say, France. And I want to be able to enjoy more of the country. So I would speak French to go to some of the stores without, being a nuisance and having them to speak in English, which they know how to do. Um, or if I lived permanently in South America, it would be handy to speak Spanish so you wouldn't have to get somebody to go with you to fill out forms. Of course, in that case. But I'm not going to learn. I wish knew the number of this, of the people who speak languages here. And I hate to see what this raggedy ass country looks like in 30 years when they say, if you speak English, press 97. And I've been on the phone for 3 hours waiting for them to get through Spanish and Vietnamese and everything else. No, I'm not doing all that. I'm not going to learn. You don't know who you're going to be working with. They'll just throw some person up in there that speaks a whole nother language. How are we going to learn Arabic? How are we going to learn um, all the different um, Asian languages? How are we going to learn all of those just to make sure somebody's not talking shit?
Yeah. Shit, I'm speechless. I
They
don't know what to
shouldn't
say.
even be allowed to babble in their language in the office because it's called rude. It's rude to speak in a foreign language in an English speaking environment. We don't know what you're, that's why it's rude, because we don't know what you're saying out of your lying ass mouths.
I'm not too sure of what it's called, but I think there are policies against people speaking foreign languages who work at a place where it's in English speaking country, or at least English speaking territory. So I think there is something about that, and I'm not disagreeing with that. Like they should be speaking English.
Hey,
It's like
Freeman,
the
Freeman.
But you're trying to speak Spanish to hear if they're talking about shit about you when you should just be reporting their ass.
Hey, Wani, Freeman. I'm sorry, but I just gotta ask a
Damn, that's
question.
noisy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in the gym. I'm sorry, but dude, have you not heard of AI? You can literally use AI to get them to interpret. Or, I mean, yeah, I've used AI to get women who shit, they didn't speak English either. I mean, you could just use AI, and this goes once again to this shit with these baby boomers, because everything we're talking about, they're doing right now. Everybody that's a millennial was saying about this shit in the '90s, and what everybody was told. Oh, shut up! You can't talk about that. I got mine. You get yours. Multiculturalism, all this other shit. And now you got this dude saying this right now because of the baby boomers. I just wanted to stress that.
Yeah, I call it super Negro syndrome. The America has relied upon our backs to fix every problem, and now I'm hearing that we need to learn a language so we can protect national security for free. That's- Anyway, True Station, talk to us.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the point about AI that can translate for you. I mean that to learn these languages, it's not gonna do you any good. I remember back in the day they were like, "Hey, you need to learn Spanish or you need to learn another language because globalism is coming." And at the end of the day, if there's an opportunity, even for employment, They don't want to hear Japanese from our black asses. They're just not. I mean, come on, why? I mean, unless you work for like the CIA or something like that, but a company is not going to be like, oh, we need someone who speaks Japanese. Oh, let me get Keisha. They're not going to do that. They're going to get somebody who is actually a native Japanese speaker who also
Let me
speaks
get Keisha.
English. I mean, they're not going to do that, and it seems like we would know this by now. How much assimilating have we done in encountering these people? We've changed the way we talk. We code switch around them already. We
Preach.
straighten the hair. We wear the clothes the way that we adopted the religion. We do their holidays. We do all these things. So it's like it's just these people talking about and a lot of it are the tethers where you only speak one language, and it's like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, they'll find out, when it's time for they need someone speaking French, they ain't gonna want your black ass, and you're gonna find
Nope.
out,
Facts.
So
Nick, you.
yeah, so I mean, it is what it is, but stop thinking that we have to keep, reshaping and reinventing ourselves in order to get along and commune with these people. Because at the end of the day, they're the dominant society. They ain't learning this shit, so why should we?
Stacia brings up a really good point. It reminds me of the meaning of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We've tried to jump through all these hoops, like she said, straighten our hair, wear certain
Get
suits,
degrees.
get degree. Oh Lord, that's my
Like my
problem.
grandmother said, just be better than her advice, just be 10 times better than everybody. Well, excuse me, ma'am. That's you, not me.
That
Hey,
shit don't work for us.
hey, what's up, y'all? Can I say something real quick?
And
Just
what
Hold
what
on
were
one
you
second.
saying?
Well, hold on one second. What I was saying is, just maybe, it's time that we just stand in our lineage and say, "Hey, this is me. Take it or leave it."
See, it worked
Maybe.
for my grandmother. She was born in 1896, so having 2 degrees when you're born in 1896, that was being better than everybody else because most people didn't have that. But now having degrees doesn't mean anything. So see, that
Nope.
advice was not, it did not hold the test, it did not stand the test of time.
wow.
Uh, I think FBA Stoic, but Black Truth then Shallow. Go ahead, FBA Stoic.
Yeah, it's easy for people to come here and learn English because when they come here, their livelihood depend on it. And then when they learn it, they immerse in our culture and they gotta use it. So we learning Spanish. We just can't go outside and start speaking Spanish to the everyday Joe walking up the street. So it's easy for people to come here and learn English because their livelihood depend on it. And in order for them to immerse into the culture, they have to learn it. So I land my plane.
Facts.
Yep. Total
Black
advantage.
Truth.
Total advantage. Plus, they watch TV and come in the room and listen to what we're saying, listen to how we're saying it. They have all kinds of action going.
Right. Black Truth then Shallow.
Hey, salute to the room once again. Brother Friedman, just wanted to add this insight. I know where you're coming from, but I just want to let you know that these people are not that deep. They're not going to be revealing a whole lot of stuff, in rooms next to you or, in passing. I speak multiple languages and I've never picked up on stuff. They already know when to say things, when not to say things. They're very guarded about their, economic plotting among these different communities. So, knowing multiple languages as far as being able to find out what they're planning or seeing if they're trying to sabotage you, that's really not gonna work. But I did want to point out something that Sister Wani said. She said that they've already created a system to keep brothers and sisters out of positions by saying you have to be a native speaker. You see, that is actually a very valid point because as someone who's a native English speaker, you're not going to be getting positions for speaking Spanish or Portuguese or whatever other language that you may speak. They're going to want someone who's from that country, who speaks that language specifically, and then whatever broken English, they can muster up. That's really what they're asking for when they say bilingual or multilingual. And so that's how you get all these people on the phone, and you call up and as someone else mentioned it, hello, welcome to AT&T. I'm here to take your telephone. What do you need? I mean, these we've all
I need a
experienced it.
machete.
Yeah, exactly. So, when they say multilingual, that's really what they're talking about. They've already created ways, no matter how many languages you learn, no matter how many degrees you accumulate, how many certifications you get, they always have a new way of keeping us out of things. Brother Tyreek was talking about this on another space. They created the bar exam to cut our brothers and sisters off from getting into the legal field. So they've always come up with new strategies and new things to cut us off from benefiting from any skill, any progressive thing that we've tried to do. So uh, just knowing languages definitely is not as big of a benefit as you may believe. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, good point. But if you haven't, my advice on that is there's extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic means you're doing something for an outside reason, like the gentleman brought up. And we're not attacking you, Freeman. Please don't perceive this as an attack. I'm glad you gave us an opportunity to examine that idea. But that's an extrinsic reason. Like I need to learn a language to see what people are saying behind my back. That's an extrinsic motivator. We're saying extrinsic motivation with respect to language is not a good idea. But if it's intrinsic, if it's something you want to learn just because you like the way it sounds or it's something you did, go for it. Shiloh.
Yeah. Peace to the room and everybody. Um, I'm enjoying the conversation, but I just wanted to say one thing. This is off topic. I don't want to make nobody. I don't know who was doing this, but somebody need to fix their smoke detector. Whoever's speaking is just going crazy. It's just beep every time. Yeah, fix. Let's get that
Mind your
taken care of.
business.
Love
Mind your
y'all.
business. That's me.
Oh, that no,
Uh-oh.
mama. I don't want to. I didn't know who it was.
No
I wasn't.
fighting.
She said, "Mind your business." Okay, let me mind my
Uh-oh.
business.
Cage fight.
Y'all silly. True Station, yeah.
Okay, first of all, the ceiling is too damn high, and I'm scared of heights, and I ain't about to
Oh my
climb up
God,
on
I
the
know what
ladder.
you mean.
Okay. So it is what it is. I don't even notice it anymore. But I also wanted to point out that you'll be surprised how many of these so called native speakers are illiterate. Because I've met Spanish speaking people who can't read or write in Spanish. Because at one point, my speaking skills weren't that great, but I could write, pretty well professionally. And they couldn't understand what I was writing because they said I can't read or write. I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
Wow.
That's
So,
why they're all up in the schools, clogging up the schools. They don't speak Spanish. How are you going to learn English if you don't speak Spanish? And everybody is slowed down like a ball and chain again.
right. And so it's like a lot of these people, you'll be shocked. Like they can talk like to their family members or to, do what they have to do talking wise. But if they actually had to read something like a contract in Spanish or actually, a lot of them can't do it. So,
Mm.
trying to assimilate to people coming here, fleeing from whatever nightmare they're fleeing from. I mean, it just sounds ridiculous to me. And for people to try to throw it in our face, oh, you only speak one language. And I mean, oh well, that language has served me and that's the language you need to learn in order to survive here. So, I just wanted to add that a lot of these people, they're not even able to read and write professionally. I mean, I'm not going to say like probably not Japanese or whatever, but Especially I've run into Spanish speaking people and so-called French speaking people from Africa whose skills are not up to par with the reading and the writing on a professional level. So, a lot of them, they just, whatever they can say to make it seem like they have something over us, they say that. And I'm like, how is that French serving you in your Uber? How is that Spanish serving you in your Uber? Because, I mean, that's basically what a lot of them are doing. It's not like they over here working for the United Nations or something. And, this French is serving them so well. I just and I say that especially with like the Africans because they're not speaking Spanish. They speak some native language, English, and maybe French or whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of them just drive for Uber or just do regular jobs that don't even require that language. Period. And then when they have kids, a lot of the kids in these first and second generations, they don't speak it. They only know one language. So, I just wanted to point that out and I'll land there. But was that Friedman? Yeah, I don't want to hear somebody call me a bitch or black bitch in Cantonese or Japanese or Spanish or whatever. I really don't care. I mean, people plot on us all the time, and a lot of the times, um, I mean, if they're really plotting on us, they're not going to do it in front of you. And it almost sounds like you may be like in an office setting where they're having these little side conversations where you don't know what they're saying. But I personally, I really don't care.
I
um, you
mean, they
know,
do have some gadgets that you can use, and like you said, AI, they do have
Mhm.
a separate gadget you can have to see what language they're speaking and what they're saying. And I would invest in one before I would go out of my way to learn 70 different languages to see who's plotting on me in an office setting. And
right,
then
Yeah.
what you're going to do? Take it to the boss. The boss should have already been told they're speaking in a native language and I feel uncomfortable. They should have already been told. But if since you're not going to do that because you're going to lose your job because they have a cuck on everybody, then I guess you better get that gadget and find out if people are talking about you.
right,
Hmm. Welcome to America.
exactly.
All right. All right, chaotic truth. We're gonna try this. What's on your mind? He went to listening.
If he say something crazy, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in, or if he say something crazy, just so you know.
He should have been in there when you guys were
Oh,
drooling over German women.
here we go. Sorry about that. What's going on?
Okay.
You know,
All right. What's on your mind?
No, nothing much, man. I saw your title. Should FBA speak multiple languages? The answer is absolutely not. Uh, English is the gold standard. Um, I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that maybe if you want to, obviously, if you are a real traveler, to brush up on some other languages, but I'm an American supremacist to the core, and I believe that English is the standard, and you shouldn't have to compromise or meet people halfway with their language. Absolutely not. So I agree with you guys on that. To be honest with you, I think that a lot of people need to follow suit. I find it disturbing, Professor, when I get on the goddamn phone to Chase and a goddamn Indian I could barely understand picks up the goddamn phone. I'm like, God damn, what is wrong with these companies, man? So I mean, I don't really have too much to say about it. Uh,
And we'll get a. That happened to me the other week, and we'll get an attitude with you when
yeah,
you ask for somebody else to
yeah,
speak
Yeah.
to you.
right, yeah, I've done
And
that
will
before.
tell you that they speak English, and you're saying, no, I'm only understanding 30% of what you're saying, and I shouldn't have to
Yeah,
try that hard.
yeah, man, dude, if I could get, I'm about to get really brutal with this. I think a lot of other languages are horrid to listen to. Um, I I really listen, man. I really believe that globally speaking, I mean not American, but English should be the lingua franca. Um, yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it at this point. When I was in college, man, I used to tell people, man, don't speak that shit around me. Don't speak Spanish. Don't speak Igbo. Don't speak whatever language people were speaking. I'll tell them, hey, look, man, speak English, bro. If you are in America, you speak English. I know that we don't have an official language in America, but don't come here and disrespect this country. You come here, you be an American, period. Forget all that Spanish. Forget that. I mean, I know that you probably have some Spanish speaking people in here, but when you come to America, you become an American, period. So man. And you are correct on the spot. I can understand what they are saying 30% of the damn time. And it's frustrating because you gotta actually you gotta like put the phone to your damn ear to pick up every damn syllable. But yeah,
When you're
I
talking about your money at the bank, I don't want to hear somebody trying to speak English. Get your ass off the phone.
yeah,
I go
yeah.
right to the FCC. Now, if you have a problem with AT&T, just call the FCC and a manager will have to call you back in English.
I didn't know that.
Um, yeah, just report them and just keep doing it and being an annoying asshole. If you have any banking problems, just call the FCC because the deal is that they have to have high level person to return your call. So
Mm,
I just have a contact there now where if I have a problem, I've caught them trying to rip me off so many times I can't even count because they're all crooked immigrants. That's why they're
yeah.
crooked immigrants. And like I'll say something and they'll sign me up for a new phone and send me a contract. I'm like, I was calling you about something. I
Yeah.
never asked for another phone line, but they'll just do it anyway, hoping that you somehow, yeah, and I sent it right over to the manager. I said, look at this mess.
I'm gonna have to use
That's
that
the
the next
kind of
time.
I,
crooked BS that they're on.
I was on the phone with Microsoft tech support and I was like, hey, I need some help. I've been beating myself over the head with this all day. And she said, that's why it's not working. You shouldn't do that.
Oh my God.
I wanted to
Yeah.
throw I wanted to throw the phone so bad.
Oh my God. She took it literally.
Wow. Xander, talk to us.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If as far as Black Americans speaking different languages, I would say that would be up to the individual Black American whether they want to learn a little bit here or there. I know that I picked up a little bit from different languages because of people that I've had to deal with and work with, but the dominant language should be the culture that's the dominant culture. When you look at Black Americans, we pretty much run the yard, and also language is something that's evolving. Now, when I hear some Africans want to brag about if this was the case, if they're bragging about how they speak different languages, they need to figure out how they got to be that way. They had to learn to speak different languages because they were pimp slapped and colonized. So they had to basically learn the language of a lot of their oppressors. But
No, they need to beg in 5 different languages just to survive.
there you go. So
You
when it
broke
comes
up.
to language, okay, can you hear me?
Are you getting a call?
No, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can now.
you broke up a little bit, but I hear you now.
All right. Yeah. So basically, when it comes to languages, whatever Black Americans decide to speak, that pretty much should be the dominant language. Now I'm mute.
Right on. And I mean, that's not such a hard ask. This is the dominant language in the United States of America is English, and it should be a requirement that we speak this language. That's not controversial.
It is in this dumbass country. The Supreme Court justice doesn't even know what a woman is. Huh.
You see where things are going, huh?
Idiots. She made me lose an argument. I was in the middle of a hot debate and I thought I won until the African said, well, at least my country knows what a woman is.
All that genital mutilation, I guess they do.
See, I should have had you over there. I just let him get a good point on me. I deserved to be taken down a notch by them, so I let him get a good kick in on me. I said, you know what? You got me. This country does not know what a woman is. And one day maybe we'll find out.
RD, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down because I have some people want to speak and I don't have enough room. Um, here we go. Okay, Wells, what's on your mind? Talk to us. Oh, come on, Wells, educate us.
Good evening. How's everyone? Hope everyone is
Doing
doing
well.
okay. Good. I think where and I just came into the room. It might have been spoken about, but and if it is, then excuse me. But I think where English is going to be a challenge for those in a hospital as a patient. Um, you, if you're a patient and you're sick, and a nurse or a doctor is talking about, you know, your health and whatever situation you're in, that you want to be able to understand what they're saying. You want to be able to communicate and not having to be trying to figure out what they're saying, because I'm telling you, that is a problem. I remember when my father was in a hospital in New York City. Um, we were told that that hospital requires everyone to speak English, but not English barely, with this thick accent. Like you had to speak English very clearly, like how we're speaking English in here right now. And they said it. They said because they don't want their patients to be dealing with an illness and then having to deal with trying to understand what this nurse or specialist is talking about. And I think that that's very important. And you see in these hospitals what's going around. My mother used to run the largest mental institution in the state of New Jersey, and she required that. And culturally, some of these health professionals that were in that hospital, they had a certain, they brought certain, let's just say, traditions with them and customs with them, as they tried to deal with these patients. And my mother's biggest challenge was, not only how they spoke to patients, but just how they spoke, period, and also how they conducted themselves, their bedside manners. And I'm going to be honest with you. One thing that she would have to talk to, uh, I guess they were like different wards. They had different ward leaders. Like like Ward 82 and everything like that. Was that a lot of them did not wear deodorant? And I guess in their countries it was customary. And my mother would have to say the one thing that these patients don't need as well is for you to be standing over them and them having to smell your body odor. And over the years, I used to remember her saying she would have no problems telling them, you know, your bedside manners also includes how you smell. And they would be so offended by what she would say, but she didn't care, you know. And so the healthcare industry has changed. You see a lot of them of different cultures, walking within hospitals, and their bedside manners leaves little to be desired, because it's the way they were used to dealing with patients in their respective countries. They bring that habit, that way of conducting themselves, throughout American halls of hospitals and institutions, health institutions, and it's a problem. On top of the fact that you don't know what they're talking about, so I think we have a major problem, and I wish there was a case that would go up to the Supreme Court, and I've said this multiple times, where English should be the official language of the United States, because this tribalism that has been created, in the most menial jobs to the most important jobs, has caused, not only Black Americans to be out of these jobs, but white Americans too. And I've always said that when white people suffer, that's when change takes place. That's when Black people benefit, because you see, they don't give a damn about Black people until they catch hell, and they're catching hell right now. This requirement to speak Spanish in these jobs and most menial jobs to me is absolutely ridiculous. If you come to this country, you must learn how to speak and write English. There's no reason why we should acquiesce to your language just to do mundane things in our country. And I land with that. Thank you so much.
I've literally had white people complaining to me about Spanish people, Spanish speaking people. That's where I learned this from. White people told me that they applied for jobs, that they went out of their way to learn how to speak English, I mean Spanish, and then could not get a job because they said, oh, you have to be a native speaker. Literally. And then I saw for myself that they want to stock these warehouses with all Sikh individuals. Everybody's got on a turban, everybody's the same religion, everybody's the same everything, and they just block everybody else out. Oh, they work in a good group, they make a good unit, they're managing all the FedExes at the airport, yada, yada, yada. That's their job. Imagine if I said, oh, I only want to work with Black American women that are from certain neighborhoods in California. How would that work out? I only want to work in an office where all the people in the office are Black American women that were raised in Los Angeles, or else I don't want to work. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They're saying I can only work if everybody is a Sikh Indian from my area. We all speak the same dialect. Now we can run your whole business for you. How great is that? To be able to just hang out with people that are your perfect background and everything is just right. How are they getting away with this? Somebody must have naked pictures on somebody up real high because this makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And it really doesn't. It used to be when you came to this country, you had to learn how to speak English. You had to learn how to write English. How is it that you come to America and you live here for 30, 40 plus years and don't know how to speak English? How do you get along? That's like me moving to, say, France and not learning to speak French for 30, 40 years. How is it that I'm able to meander through life in France, a French speaking country, and refuse, because that's what it is. It's a willful, intentional, refuse to learn how to speak that native tongue. America is everybody's one night stand. Everybody gets off on America, and America allows it. They should be able to speak English and know how to conduct themselves in English, and there's no reason why jobs should be. There are certain jobs that someone has that you have to you have to have multiple language skills, of course, but not everything. Not every single thing, because we've become a country that does not require people to speak English. So we have to have a Spanish speaking somebody, and we have to in every. And what happens is that then they become HR managers or directors, or executive vice president, and they shamelessly, excuse me, hire their own, even knowing that they are not, qualified for the job. They conduct tribalism. It's only black people who have to take a moral ground and have to have somebody that is Spanish speaking, when we should be hiring our own and not giving a damn whether they are qualified or not, because everybody else doesn't give a damn. You see, and we're so worried about the optics. What is it going to look like? You shouldn't give a damn what it looks like. They don't. They don't give a damn what it looks like or sounds like. So nepotism should be something that we should, and tribalism is something that we should conduct all the time in these jobs, no matter if it's McDonald's or any other executive level job. And that's it. But I think the Supreme Court, I've been saying, should make English the official language of the United States and cut a lot of this bullshit out, because it's bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. So I agree with you, Bonnie. Thank you so much.
You're right about the fact that if I had a job and I wanted to hire a Black American woman, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd have to hire a white woman, I'd have to hire a Hispanic, anything to make it look like I'm not doing any kind of favoritism. And yet they get up in there and the whole office is all Filipino women. The whole office is all Sikh Indians. The whole office is all people on the higher caste system in India, and nobody else is allowed. They don't even want other Indians. They only want Brahmin Indians in there. How specific is that? We have Dalit Indians suing because they didn't meet the standard of being a Brahmin Indian. They need to throw these backward people out of here before they destroy the world. They should have never left their homelands.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And, if you hire a staff and they happen to be all black, that they're qualified is a problem. It doesn't make any sense. And the other thing too is that there are times where a black person will put their reputation, their their certification, their license on the line for their own people. And the one thing that we I have to say is that there are sometimes our own people don't understand what's at stake. And what's at stake is that person that stuck their neck out, their license out, their certification out, their reputations out for you. Be on code. Be on code, be on time, be right with your job, be right so that it doesn't look bad on the person that stuck their reputation, their license, their certification out on the line for you. That's what being on code is all about. Looking out for that person. And that's what being on code, because that's what they do. But I wish our people will do it, because I've been in situations myself where I put my reputation on the line. I expect you to be there on time. I expect you to be on code, because they are always looking at black people. It's like when you the metaphorical, getting together at the water cooler. White people are always nervous when they see two or more black people together. It's like, be on code. And I land. I don't want to hog up. So thank you so much for letting me speak.
Oh, who's next? Friedman? Or, sorry, I wasn't looking.
Oh yeah, it kind of got quiet for a
No,
minute.
no, Lee can
I'm
go.
taking all this in.
Yeah, Lee can get he
Um,
knew.
Who was
yeah,
next?
go ahead.
I can't hear.
Oh, can you hear me, wanting?
I can hear you, but wasn't somebody talking?
Oh no, I know you called me, but I said Lee Roots is new, so I was like, he could, they can go first.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you, Freeman. Go ahead, Lee Roots.
go ahead, Lee.
Hey, good evening, everybody. What a topic. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is one that I deal with on a daily basis. Should FBAs speak multiple languages? Yes. Why? Because you could infiltrate conversations that they have on their own when they're sitting there yakking in front of you while you're getting your nails done, while you're getting your food, while you're on your job on lunch break. I speak two languages. I speak Spanish and English, and I'm trying to learn Cantonese too. So when I go to these Chinese food places, I can hear what they're saying. Um, and when I run a company, and we do a lot of construction, and for years, I worked with my dad, who was in the landscaping business, did commercial landscaping business and residential. And many years, he always wanted to would hire the Latino folks, or I'll just say it like this: the Mexican folks. Okay, the fresh out the border Mexican folks, because they work. But I took a different approach when I started running my own. Um, I run a handyman landscape business. I would hire some of the border brothers, right? But after a while, it got to a point where I would hire them, but they would never call me for their stuff that they got on the side. Like, hey, like, I would call you for work, but why? It was never reciprocated. Didn't really need theirs, but it's just, hey, call me for something. But they would never call you. But so for 8 years now, I've been having a young fellow work with me. He's a little bit older than me, but we get along just great. He's black, and he's from the soil, and we click, we connect. I can leave a job to him, and he knows how I want to get it done, and then we can connect like that, and it is very, very beneficial. One more thing, as you're going about, try to hire as many blacks as you can, and give two craps what people think. Why? Image wise, like for me, when I pull up to a site and it's all black guys jump out of the truck, I'm gonna tell you something. It's a sight to be seen here, at least in California, I'll say, because that's just rarely not ever seen, and we hump on that work too, and we're not sitting around just BSing and shooting the breeze all the time. No, we working. We're out here to make some money and go home and come back the next day. But it is very beneficial. Why? You can, you can kind of float in and out of cultures. You can. Yeah, I do it all the time, especially with Spanish. You go to a Spanish store because around here there's not very many black stores to go to. So I'll find myself in a Latino store. Someone's mic is open, and so what I do is I just start speaking Spanish. But one of the weirdest things is you can speak Spanish to the fellas, but a lot of the women are stubborn. Like they don't want to respond back to you. They'll try to respond to you back in English. And I'll be an ignorant person right on back, and why don't you speak to me in Spanish? In Spanish, I'll say this stuff, and a lot of them do not have to, like Wani said, go outside. Oh, the young lady said before her, you don't have to venture outside of your own community for 30 years and not speak a lick of English. And I ran into that a bunch of times out here in California. I'm in Northern Cali, and wow, that's amazing when you run into an old Mexican grandma who's been over here for 30 years and she don't know hardly no English. And that's just proof that you need to, if you don't have to learn another language, you just got to have your structure of daily life around you. What they have stores, they have stuff that they do, and then the kids don't even want to speak Spanish, so uh, you know they lose that right there. So, but anyway, great topic, great space. Learn another language.
So
Well,
again, you said learn another language so I can hear if an Asian woman that's doing my nails is talking shit about me, and you can hear people talking shit about you. It would be better to not be around shit talkers, wouldn't it? It sounds like you're burning up a lot of energy. I'm not doing all that. To
Oh,
see
right.
if
I
people
don't
are,
burn up. No, no, no,
yeah,
ma'am. I'm not burning up any energy. I
why
like to learn
not?
the language because it's fun to just listen to, and be able to just have that under your
It's
belt.
fun to listen
I
to
think.
people talking shit about you.
Oh no, 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 no. What I'm saying is, to be able to tell them, hey, you talking shit? What's up? You know what I mean? Like to be able to check them
No,
because
I'm not.
they.
That's subtle. That's burning up a lot of energy. You
I hear what
already
you're
know
saying.
that they don't like you, so why are they
Yeah,
around?
again, back to four or five spaces ago. Collectively, we're gonna have to figure out a way to work on our self-esteem. We're gonna have to do that because we should not give a damn about what other people say and not be concerned about what they think about us. But I did like one thing the gentleman said. I like that he said that, and I'm putting paraphrasing him. We need to have our own group surrounding us. So we should have a group of foundational Black Americans and foundational Black American allies around us, circulating finances to wherein doing our nails, doing our hair, to where don't have to worry about speaking another language because we know the people who working with us. That's the key. That's the secret. I'm gonna get a couple more speakers and then I'm gonna prepare for an early morning lecture tomorrow. Let's see who hadn't talked. The Black. Come on, the Black.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Professor Juan and Nikki?
Chilling.
Uh, to the question of the space, should FBAs learn multiple languages? I think not. It's like one has said, it's a waste of energy, and we emotional people. We like to talk shit back, and they're just gonna escalate a situation, and we don't back down. So I feel like why put yourself in that situation where you gonna make yourself outraged, and you gonna want to do something, and when it comes down to the English language, like you said before, it's an amalgamation of multiple languages. Like we really speak in multiple languages, and you
Facts.
wouldn't even know it because one word in another language it can mean something else. I feel like we should just actually study the English language and be phenomenal when it comes down to that, like we already are.
Hello.
Cause at the end of the day, like we use a lot of Latin words when it come down to law. So I feel like when you actually understand the English language, you can actually expand that to other different fields and understand how they play with it when it come down to us. But that's just me. I leave it there.
Love it. Believe it or not, I'm gonna give last words to Freeman. All right, Freeman, go ahead.
Thanks, brother. I would actually piggyback a little bit off of what the black said. Is that when I do study English, the way in which we speak it as FBA, like with Ebonics or Black American English, we actually do something similar to what they do in like Mandarin Chinese, where they'll have one word that's spelled away, but it's pronounced in different ways. We do the same thing. Like if we say like bruh, we can say that in so many different variations and it can mean so many different things on how we say it. So the way we speak English is already very complex, even more so than I think regular people who speak English speak. But I would say like I understand what you guys are saying about like we shouldn't have to learn another language in our own country, and I do believe that. I would say that like if we're talking about like rather or, would I rather be in a place where we don't have to learn those languages and they don't, we have our own group and that we don't have to speak that and that we don't have to hear that and that they're not even in a country like that to begin with doing that, or rather have us learn a bunch of languages? I would rather the first. I would rather it be that we don't have to. But if they're going to keep bringing them over, then I believe we should do whatever is necessary to protect ourselves. So that's how I kind of mean it. I don't mean it like, oh, we should just burn energy so we can be liked by everybody and be Captain America like Sam Fisher. Like, nah. It's just that if we don't have to have it, I would much rather that. But if we are going to be in a situation, whatever situation we're in, if it's language based, we should have something to protect ourselves by. So I want to leave that.
Yeah, and that I think the real key to this conversation is how, not should we learn another language. The key to this conversation is how can we get a network, a financial network within the freedmen community? How can we tighten our circle?
I think
How
first we
can
have to start living to get around each other more because most of them cultures that are around each other, they have stores close to them. We don't live close to each other most of the time when we get money. When we get money, you get out of the hood, get out of the way. But if you were to change the hood or whatever around you, it would be a lot easier for us. But the thing is, just we have to travel to go places to go, you know. Whereas there,
well
they just
that's
pop in and go a few blocks
Lee,
down, and you got
that's gonna be a discussion for another day. But the question is, how can we tighten our own communities? How can we bring back the things that we used to have? The corner store, the black attorney, the black dentist, the black physician, the black school teacher, the black principal, private black schools. We need these things back, and we need to keep our dollar in our community longer, which I know we can do. But I think that's the key to it. Because what I heard from this conversation is that we rely real heavily on outsiders to fix internal problems. And I can only question, does that have something to do with our self esteem?
Well, one of the issues is that we're not immigrants. We're not, nervous little immigrants that just got off of a boat that have to huddle over in little black America town. We've been here for half a millennia, so we are spread out. We have created things in different states. So that's one of the issues. We do live on a big continent and we do live in all the states, and we don't all live in the ghetto, like people keep saying. And just because I don't live in the ghetto doesn't mean I live with white people. I live in one of the states that we went to. Thank you very much. Anyway, I don't know how we're going to get back to that because the things that you named from the 50s, they don't have white mom and pop stores. All the mom and pop stores got kicked to the curb because of, the big box stores. And so all they have is these nasty little immigrant stores that don't make a lot of money, even though people think they do, for some reason. These stores came about because no one wants to do those things anymore. They're not beneficial anymore. They're doing grunt work. You know what I'm saying? They've been complaining about this and they just stopped complaining. The white mom and pop stores got kicked to the curb and they stopped complaining and they all went over to Walmart. So that's the way it is. It's never going to be the way it was when I was a young girl, where you could go to a black, you know, store and restaurants and grocers and the meat market and the bakery and all that, candlestick maker. We don't have that anymore. Nobody has it. It's all just a big conglomerate. They gobbled all the small stores up.
Could reparations be a solution if we got when
No,
we get our reparations packet? Why not?
because if I make a little mom and pop store, same case scenario. I'm just going to get overpowered by Walmart and Target, or I'm going to be, or trying to take over some dingy ass Asian woman store. I mean, like, no, we just need to go move along with the times. We're a modern people, and we're on the forefront of modernization. We've always been that way. We can't go back. A lot of people are not doctors because it's not beneficial. Just like the corner store, it's the same thing. My doctor went out of business, and I said, "Why are you quitting? Why are you retiring?" I couldn't get a black American doctor, so I had a white American eye doctor. And I said, "Why are you retiring?" He said, "Well, I'm just going to quit because I can't afford all the expenses, the expense of it, the insurance of it." He was just like, "I'm not interested anymore." And a lot of these doctors have said this to me, that it's too expensive to be a doctor and they rather just go into something else. They'll still be working in medicine somewhere, but they just won't be general practitioners that we can access. Medicine is all over the place, so they could do other things with their degrees. But this is one of the things, we can't go back. It may be hard in the future to get a black American doctor. It's impossible now. I can't get anything.
Now, what Wani said, unfortunately, is very true. The way is there such thing as antitrust laws? Walmart's whole corporate structure is set up diametrically opposed to mom and pop. So, as much as I want to argue, it's true what she said. The moment you set up a mom and pops and it becomes lucrative, guess what's going to set up shop right across the street from you? A Walmart. They're designed that way. So we got a hard road ahead. But
Well, we just have to do other things that aren't easy to gobble up.
I
hmm.
just don't understand the whole learning a language to protect ourselves. I mean, the most issues we run into with these people is they call the police on us, and when they call the police, they speak in English. The Arabs, the Palestinians, and the Koreans, and the people who own these shops who call the cops, they say, "Oh, come help." They're not speaking their language on the phone. And I mean, and that's the most, they generally utilize the dominant society or the white supremacist power structure against us. They don't deal with us even directly. So I don't understand the point of learning their language. I mean, are we supposed to say I can't breathe in Cantonese or Mandarin so that the shop owner can hear us? And I don't get it.
I'm trying, Stacia. I'm just trying to be kind, but learning other languages to try to prove something to somebody else is absolutely asinine, completely asinine.
I
Um,
disagree. I disagree.
when I was at Harvard University, we'll end on this note. I was walking down, uh, I think it was Mount Auburn Street, and with the Italians, and there was a 60-year-old black woman who had a full saw her. The Italians, they're hard to miss. You know, they dress real nice and whatnot. And she had a full, I don't know what she said, but she had a full conversation with them. Que cosa, da, 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 da. She's speaking all this Italian, and they looked at her, and they were like shocked, and they started laughing, and they didn't even address what she said. And we kept walking, and I was like, "What's she saying?" They were like, "Oh, I don't know. She just that dumb black lady speaks Italian or something like that." You know what I'm saying? We get dismissed, and I later found out that that lady was a genius who was a who graduated from Harvard, PhD, and went crazy. Like she was so smart, she lost her mind, and she
Yep.
became homeless. But she was homeless on the street, speaking perfect language, speaking perfect Italian, perfect diction, and they laughed at her because they didn't see perfect. They didn't hear perfect Italian. They saw a black lady, and that's what we need to get in our heads. Wani, any closing remarks?
No, have a nice night, everyone.
All right, guys. Tomorrow we'll pick this back up, and hope we learned something. I learned something other than the topic, but I enjoyed y'all. And until that time, peace out.